welcome to another exciting episode of The Loading Zone. My name is Rabauna Nameng, your financial advisor. Apologies for not dropping a video last week. It has since come to my attention that I was highly ambitious by trying and putting these out on a Monday. Mondays are tough, guys. Anyways, here's what I'm gonna do going forward. Instead of posting these videos on a Monday, I will be posting them on a Wednesday. And because I didn't give you guys anything last week, there'll be two videos this week, one today and another one on Wednesday. So if you see me dressed the same way on a Wednesday, just know that I shot it all at once. Don't go around telling people that I don't bath. I started out with the disclaimer. These videos do not constitute financial advice and should not be seen or treated as such. For adequate and comprehensive advice, please seek the counsel of a registered advisor or hit me up in my personal capacity. I may just save you some money. With that out of the way, let's dive into today's topic where we'll be talking or unpacking commodities. Traditional commodities are raw materials, simply put. Things that we derive from God's green earth. Broadly speaking, this would include metals, agriculture, livestock, and energy. Examples of this would be platinum, gold, diamond, grains, or even beef, just to name a few. The biggest characteristics of commodities is that there is very little that differentiates one producer's commodity from another producer's particular commodity. I mean, at the end of the day, beef is beef because cow is cow, irrespective of which farmer produced it. If it says moo, it's a cow. And gold is gold. I mean, there's different classes, sure, but essentially it's the same thing. In its rawest form, the value of a commodity is not as high as after it has been refined or broken down to create the final product. For example, gold into jewelry or platinum into catalytic converters, cotton into clothing. Essentially, the rise and fall of the price of a commodity affects us all in one way or another. For example, if you have a car, the rise and fall of the oil prices will affect you in relation to petrol. In the same breath, if there's a drought in the country, it would cost more to produce maize, for example, which ultimately means it would cost you more to buy a pack of pap at your local supermarket. So how does one invest in commodities? Well, one can simply go and buy commodities directly. This, however, limits an individual to items that they can physically store. For example, a guy staying in a 2-bedroom apartment in Midrand will find it difficult to store livestock in his place. The second way that one can invest in commodities is by buying equities that are related to the commodity market. So if I want to play in the gold market, for instance, I would simply buy shares in a mining company that mines gold. We touched on equities last week, so if you've seen that video, this should be easy to grasp. Another way that one could invest in commodities is through future contracts. Future contracts are financial contracts where there is a buyer and a seller. They basically agree in this contract that the buyer will buy X amount of a particular commodity at a particular time in the future at a particular price from the buyer. It gets complicated, so for first-time investors, I don't recommend playing in this market. I recommend that ujimenyana pele by investing in less complex asset classes before going into something as complicated as futures. For that reason, I don't want to dive into the nitty-gritties of all of this. I've said this before and I'll say it again, baby steps. What I will say though, for the more sophisticated investor checking this video out, is that you can trade in futures through a CFD broker. One needs to make sure that the CFD broker is registered with the FSCA, and just be on the lookout for scammers out there, because there's too many people out there claiming to do this thing. Yeah, so there's essentially 3 ways that one can invest in commodities as listed earlier. I'll just summarize them for you. You can invest directly, you can invest through futures, or you can invest through shares in a company that does a particular commodity that you're looking for. Commodities have certain key features that make it attractive for investors. Firstly, they offer a bit of diversification for an investor. Generally speaking, commodities have a very low correlation to the performance of stocks and bonds. Commodities can therefore be used as a nice way for one to hedge their stocks or bond investment. There's also a benefit as far as inflation is concerned. Unlike other asset classes, when inflation increases, the price of a commodity generally increases as well. But on the flip side, commodities are one of the most volatile asset classes you'll find. This is largely because they tend to be quite price elastic. The other downside of investing in commodities is that there is no income generation. If you remember in the previous episode on equities, I mentioned that you get dividends in equity while you still hold this share. What that means is if dividends is paid every quarter I get a little bit of something while I still have this share. In property as well, I can still hold this property and still get rental income on a monthly basis. The same thing can be done with bonds as well as in cash, where I can derive this interest on a monthly basis. However, in commodities, it is not the case. They are more of a growth type of an investment. With that said, I'm going to wrap this thing up. I really hope that I've covered everything and that you found value in watching this video. Remember that I'm taking you through a journey of some nice little small baby steps towards financial freedom. So please do like and share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell as well. Remember, I'll be dropping another episode on Wednesday, wrapping up this asset class series. With that said, thank you for tuning in and have yourself a blessed week ahead. And as you go into the world, don't forget to get loaded.